You're listening to a special edition of the Just Go Bike Podcast. That's AKA Murph.
And that's AP. And this is the award-winning podcast where we talk about cycling just for the fun of it, with tales from all over the nation. Come for the bikes, stay for the fun, and leave with a smile.
On this special pre-ride edition, we're going to provide you with daily tales from the trail as we ride our bikes across the state of Iowa as a part of RAGBRAI 52.
And we apologize in advance for any background noise. We will be recording live in the wild each episode.
We will be right back.
At First Form, they're more than just supplements. They're built for performance, driven by purpose, and proud to fuel the RAGBRAI journey.
First Form helps real people earn real long-term results on the bike and beyond.
From clean energy to high-protein snacks that actually fuel you, they're here to keep you moving, recovering, and riding strong.
Come find the First Form team out on the route. Let's crush RAGBRAI together.
Now, back to the show.
AP, here we are, day 6.
That's right. We have conquered day 6 of the RAGBRAI Route Inspection Pre-Ride.
We have, and today was a very short day, and we wanted to catch up with a couple of gravel riders who were on the gravel route today, but also yesterday, because we didn't have time yesterday to. It was a whirlwind of a day. Actually, this whole week has been a whirlwind, wouldn't you say?
I can't believe it's already over, or almost over. We have only one day remaining, less than 100 miles.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, let's introduce our two guests, our gravel guests. What's your name and where you're from?
I am Quinn Kelsay. I'm currently from Ames, Iowa. I'm riding the gravel this week.
I'm Bailey Kelsay. I'm from Iowa City, Iowa, and I'm also riding gravel this week for the first time ever.
So wait a minute, you guys have the same last name.
What?
What is the deal there?
Turns out the two of us are twins.
Well, I already knew that. But okay, thanks for being on the podcast. Let's go all the way back. It seems like it was a couple years ago, but let's go all the way back to yesterday. And give us like just a little bit of a snippet of what gravel felt like for you, if there was a lot of elevation, how the actual gravel felt, and let's go from there.
I'll caveat this with the fact that I'm a baby newbie gravel rider, and
Same.
Yeah. So for me as a baby newbie gravel rider, it was really fun. It was pretty hard packed. It was stable. If I remember right, yesterday there were a few spots with some chunkier gravel, but it was still
some of the lightest gravel we've ridden on.
right, totally stable, and for the most part a smooth track that you could see and you could just fly right through it. It was really fun.
Yeah, great gravel for riding fast on. It's kind of been the theme of the week so far. I think there was a couple hills on there, yeah?
Oh, yes. Yesterday had some elevation. I think it got up into maybe 3 or 4% grade, if I remember right.
So it might have been some of the bigger hills we had this week. Still nothing too crazy. This week's pretty flat.
Would you say yesterday was good for beginners? Since I know that you are kind of, now that you've done it all week, I don't know if you can say you're a beginner, but what's your thoughts on that?
I'd say yes. It was like the perfect balance of I felt totally in control the whole time, but also there was enough grit that it was like, ooh, I'm a real gravel rider and I feel really cool.
And AP, I don't know the answer to this. Maybe you do from, being in meetings with Matt, but you know how on roads and trails, I think there's a limit to how steep things can be, but I think when you get to gravel, I'm no expert in road quality, but I feel like sometimes on gravel, the roads are much, much steeper.
You know what? I have no idea, but maybe we'll have to have Matt Phippen come back on the podcast and tell us the answer to that question.
Yes. And I didn't mean to, throw it out there without research.
You can ask me anything.
Okay, so you guys both feel great about yesterday's gravel, and then here we are on day 6. Tell us how many segments of gravel and your thoughts on today.
Yeah, so today it's just one segment of gravel. Pretty similar to yesterday as far as road conditions. Pretty fast, smooth gravel. I would say a little bit, the rocks are still small, but a little more...
Chunky.
Yeah, chunky. We'll go with that. Much flatter than yesterday, though.
For sure.
And then, as always, great views. We didn't mention yesterday on the gravel there was that rock we stopped at?
Big Rock.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's maybe called The Rock. Very scripted. It's about what it sounds like. It's a gigantic rock. It's
just off the side of the road.
And it's most of the way through the gravel. It's on those last few miles. We were able to, you kind of climb through a ditch and then over a piece of barbed wire fence that's not really barbed wire fence anymore.
Just
and then you can get
wire
up on top
fence,
of this
yeah.
rock.
Just offside. You'll see it from probably about a mile away.
You can't miss it.
I thought it was hay bales at first. Turns out it's a rock.
So you would consider it a must stop for selfies or photos?
For sure.
Ah,
For
okay.
sure.
And then you wanted to talk a little bit about the quality of gravel. Do you want to go into that at all?
I've heard the term hero gravel thrown around a bit by our experts. So I would say yesterday and today both would qualify as hero gravel, which from what I've been told is based on the texture of the gravel. So really stable, just fun, fast. You can fly on it. You feel comfortable on it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you probably feel kind of cool on it. But yeah, it's just the right thing to fly through.
Cool. And, AP?
I just have kind of a basic question for you both. What made you decide to do the gravel route this year, and did you bring special bikes to do it?
Yeah, so I can go first. I've had a gravel bike for a couple years now. Started off biking, only doing road. Got a gravel bike because I'd seen other people with them. It seemed like a cool thing to do. Still never rode too much gravel on it, and I'd wanted to do more of that. Just most of the rides we do are road. So finally it was a good chance to break it out and get to ride it. Pretty excited about how last year they made the change. The gravel route, instead of being one day, goes along with it on every day. So I was pretty excited to hear about that. So this year thought would bring the bike out, ride along with them.
For sure. I've wanted a gravel bike for a couple years now, and I was lucky enough to be able to borrow one from a good friend this year, which for the same reason as Quinn, it's super exciting that every day has just a shorter stretch instead of one day with a big long stretch where you're kind of offset from the group. So it's a great way as a newbie rider or just as someone who rides with a group to be able to jump off, get a few miles in on gravel, have some fun, and then get back with your crew.
And if this matters, my tire size is 32. I got some pretty aggressive ones, but I haven't had any issue on the gravel as far as riding it this week.
What Quinn is not mentioning is that he did have some issues on the road today, but we don't need to talk about it too much. But I wanted to point out that on RAGBRAI, the gravel routes will be fully supported by the SAG wagon. So if you should also have some issues, you can get picked up if you're a registered RAGBRAI rider. So no problem there.
Well, thanks you guys for popping on the podcast. We're all getting ready to go to dinner, but first AP and I are going to grab some other people to do a full recap of today. But thank you so much for being on the pod.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, for sure. It was a great time.
Well, that was awesome to get Quinn and Bailey's perspective on gravel. And now we have two VIPs, I would say, that have been doing pre-ride for a long time, right?
That's right. I can't wait to welcome you two to the podcast.
So tell all the listeners your name and where you're from.
Brian Brinkema, Independence, Iowa.
And Dan Roth from Ely, Iowa.
Ely's one of my favorite places to bike to. I think I've talked about it a lot on the podcast. But both of you are on pre-ride for many reasons, mostly because Andrea and I draft off of you. So thank you for getting us across the state.
It's very important.
But you're also a retired police officer. So I think today's a really good day because we're going to talk about an amazing escort we had today. So
That's right.
Should we get into it?
Sure, let's do. As we left the hotel in Cedar Falls, we rode downtown. And, well, let's back it up. First, we had an awesome Casey's Pizza breakfast waiting for us downtown.
Yep.
So shout out to Casey's.
Yep. I mean, you can never have enough Casey's Pizza, especially
right.
breakfast pizza, lunch pizza, late night pizza, all of it.
Yeah, I mean, that was not the only pizza I had today, so we'll just say that.
Okay, so then after we did that, we did this amazing photograph in downtown Cedar Falls with our entire group, plus all the community. Like they were awesome. We went to a restaurant last night called George's and had a great time. But then finished up the photo underneath the sign. And then we had 2 Blackhawk County sheriffs that were there. And did one of you guys want to explain what happened?
It was a very awesome event to be escorted out of town by the motorcycle deputies. Basically, on the East Coast, motors are big, and that's really neat to see that here in Iowa. They did an exceptional job, really maintained a good speed. It was really cool. It was epic. It was great to watch.
It was super special. And I mean, you have to give them a shout out, first of all, for all the time that they spent with us.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I mean, a lot of times an escort will last a mile, 2 miles, 3 miles. This one lasted like 16 miles.
They went all the way to Dunkerton with us.
Yeah.
It was so cool. And I did get the feeling, I mean, this might age me a little bit, but the show Chips. Do you guys remember the show Chips?
Yeah.
I was all like, is that Ponch and John that are taking us in? Like, they were so, like, confident, and they were cruising along, and they could feel it. When we were going up a hill, they would slow down. When we went down a hill, they would speed up. So it was amazing.
Amazing pace.
Yeah.
And I also want to give a shout out to the fire department from Cedar Falls once again.
Oh my gosh.
They were there as we exited town with their truck with the flag up in the air on the ladder. And it was just a super memorable exit from town.
Yes, yes. So we had breakfast at the hotel. Then we had breakfast outside of Casey's. And then we got our beautiful escort into Dunkerton and had our third breakfast, which...
Third breakfast.
I dare I say it was my favorite breakfast this morning. It was so good.
Actually, I had a third and a fourth breakfast. I'm not sure which one you're referring to.
Oh, actually, we did have a fourth breakfast when we went into the bar. Oh my gosh! So, they had Brink. Do you remember what the association was that they are raising money for?
The Historical and Tourism Association. So the proceeds from the store, which is a great name for a bar, they are literally going to, if I remember right, going to donate $1 from each purchase to their association to build and grow that.
It's so cool. And they had breakfast pizza. They had burritos that were really, really good.
Very good.
They had, I didn't have a Bloody Mary, but I think that's what they're going to be making that morning. And literally the bar is called The Store because, you know, why wouldn't you say, hey, I'm going to run to the store? Then it's really, do you get it?
Like frozen.
Don't forget
frozen chocolate-covered bananas, too, which I didn't have one, but they certainly looked good, and I know people did take part in it.
Yeah, it was great. Shout out to the store. They're excellent. We also had some baked goods out front of the Historical Society that we cannot skip over. I had multiple pieces of banana bread. Yeah, it was so good. And I believe you maybe liked the pie.
I did like the pie. It was amazing. The other thing, just, you know, like maybe kitty corner almost, there was a beautiful veterans memorial area that is definitely worth walking up to. It was cool. So they also had, graveyard is not the right word, but they had like an open space where they had put all the signs that they planned to use during RAGBRAI to kind of get all of us excited about coming into Dunkerton. So we did some fun like photo opportunities when we were down there.
Speaking of photo opportunities, I want to mention that the theme of Dunkerton is Dunkerton Gothic because their founders are James and Christian Dunkerton, and so they have a photo of the founders and they have sunglasses on, and it's going to be made into a large photo op that people can get their picture with. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty neat.
And we did get a sneak peek of what they look like.
Little sneak peek.
It's really cool.
I wasn't going to spill the beans on that, but it is in our notes that they provided, so I feel like it's fair game.
Okay, all right. So then from Dunkerton, it was a very short ride, I think maybe 8 miles, I can't recall. We ended up in Fairbank, and there is no S on the end of Fairbank. It is Fairbank.
One Fairbank, one and only.
Yes. So do you guys recall where you went when you were in Fairbank? AP and I went to the library, and we'll talk about that.
In all honesty, they all run together, so I'm right now trying to figure out what was in that town.
I know we had to divide and conquer, so think about it while we talk about the library.
Okay.
But we met up with Angela, who's the librarian, and it was actually a beautiful library, wouldn't you think? It was a nice open space. They are going to have it open for the public, charging devices, also just a place to chill out, relax in the air conditioner. But they're also raising money for their expansion. She's hoping in the next year or two that they can grow their library to a little bit bigger, because she says she does a lot of events with kids and they fill the place up pretty quickly. So any other thoughts on the library, AP?
Yeah, outside of the library, there were a couple of kids selling lemonade and
Yes.
popsicles. So if you see somebody selling lemonade and popsicles, you better stop by because they're working on their college fund.
It was good. It was very good.
Yeah. Also in Fairbank, we went to Costa's, which is a bar. It was really great. We had a table full of appetizers.
yeah.
It was so amazing. So shout out to them. Also excellent drinks, I have to say. So other things to look for in Fairbank include the beautiful mural, which you have to see. It's a little kid with a lightning bug, like a jar of lightning bugs.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So it was really special. And they have a giant dam with a swinging bridge over it.
The
Yeah.
bridge was pretty cool, yeah. We were in a jail cell. Was that in Fairbank?
We went to jail in
We went to
Fairbank, but only briefly. I swear to you, only briefly.
Only for a photo op.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, something to think about coming into Fairbank. The road is beautiful, but there are rumble strips. We all know what rumble strips are. When you're coming up to a stop sign here in Iowa, that happens. But they have, as far as safety goes for vehicles, they have a tiny rumble strip that goes in the center of the road. So that's going to be something to be aware of as you're biking in July, that, well, you shouldn't be riding on the center crack anyway, but now for sure you won't, because otherwise you're going to be bumping along.
There's also many areas that they have a fog line rumble strip set, so be cautious of that.
And what is a fog line rumble strip?
That
Explain
white line to the far right of your lane,
Mm-hmm.
where next to the shoulder, and you want to be cautious of that, because oftentimes what bicyclists will do, if they unexpectedly hit those,
Mm-hmm.
they turn sharp left or right to get off of them, and you can cross a wheel
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. And my job in Fairbank was going to the American Legion.
Oh,
I
yeah.
went in, visited with Vince, and got to hang out with his Australian Shepherd, Kirby.
Oh.
Great dog. They're going to be your air-conditioned stop. They're looking at capacity 300 to 500 people they can put in there. He talked about as soon as he gets there early in the morning, he's going to dump the air conditioning unit down to 60 degrees.
Oh,
so
I'm gonna
you
be
will be
going in
ready.
there.
They're going to have tall boys. They're going to have all sorts of beverage. They're not going to be a food stop, but they're going to be an air-conditioned beverage location. So
All
when
right.
you grab your food, your belly's full of food, you're looking for a cold one, American Legion's your
Head over to
place on the
American
north
Legion.
side of the downtown Main Street.
Sweet.
One other thing I have to say before we finish our notes on Fairbank, they will have a pet pig, or a pig that you can pet for a free will donation, and the money is going to fund a new park shelter where they plan to build pickleball courts.
Whoa. I
In
love
honor of their
pickleball.
former mayor who had this idea and unfortunately was killed in a car accident.
Oh, wow.
So it's
Okay.
kind of a cool deal. So get your drink in the American Legion and then go pet the pig.
Throw a few bucks towards the pig. Yes. Okay, and I will say, like what Brian spoke of, the fog line rumbles, and what I spoke of, the center line rumbles, does continue a little bit outside of Fairbank. So everyone who listens to this podcast is very thoughtful and safe when they're riding their bikes, but just keep that in mind, especially when there are thousands of other people. So from there,
We did have a police escort out of Dunkerton, so
Yes,
thank
that's
you to their
right,
police
that's
department. That was really cool. And we did have a fire department escort into town as well. So
Yeah.
we were well taken care of today.
Yes, we were. And speaking of well taken care of, we ended up in Oelwein today, and it's the childhood home of,
RAGBRAI director Matt Pippin.
and we found out that everyone in town is also a fan of Matt Phippen besides us. So do either of you guys want to talk about what we saw when we came into town with the ducks and the fat heads and all that.
Well, I think the thing that stands out for me is all the photos of Matt when he was younger on his bicycle or whatever, and all the flat mats as a young kid and a young man growing up in Oelwein. So that was a lot of fun to see, and kind of themed it all together.
And a surprise for us was the police department handing out fist-size ducks from the fire department and the police department. They have their own little twist on the duck theme that they have here in Oelwein. And then they have little propeller ducks that are absolutely awesome that you can attach to your stem, you can attach to your handlebars, and there's a fun fact, they light up.
And squeak.
Yeah, there's a lot of ducks going on. Their theme is Duck Duck Viaduct because they're well known for their very long viaduct, which is basically a tunnel that goes underneath a railroad tracks.
And the viaduct, when we came through, was under construction. I don't know that AP or I have the answer on if that's going to be done or if we're going to be rerouted. So I assume it will be complete because that is their theme and that's something they're really proud of. So it's definitely something. I know Brian wants to say something about that.
Regarding the viaduct, if it is open, it's going to be kind of a choke point where it is pretty narrow, and understand that you're going from bright outside dark sunglasses into a small brief tunnel. Use caution, hold your line. There are some cracks in the foundation, ground, road. Just be cautious.
Agreed. So from there, we hung out in this beautiful park. There were lots of ducks everywhere, and like what Brian mentioned, beautiful park though. And they also had, I don't know what that, was it a train car or there was?
It was
Kind of an engine, small engine that looks like a train engine that's sitting there, kind of a replica, I should say. And
I'd almost call it a sculpture.
Yeah, and great for photo ops, I guess was the point I was getting to.
Yeah, it was super cool. I'd also like to say if you make your way down to Oelwein City Park, they have a U.S. Air Force F-80 Shooting Star jet.
Ooh.
So it goes perfectly with our Take Flight theme.
Yeah. So at this point, we're just getting ready to head to dinner. So we will recap a little bit more about Oelwein tomorrow. And before we go, AP wants to say...
I just wanted to mention that Brian and Dan are riders with the pre-ride, but this year on RAGBRAI, they're going to be doing their first year as our SAG drivers. Ooh. So we are so excited to welcome them to the RAGBRAI crew. I hope you don't need to meet them because I hope you don't need to SAG, but we're so excited to welcome you to the crew.
Thank you. We're looking forward to it. It should be fun, and we look forward to working with everybody and making their RAGBRAI enjoyable, even if they're having a bad day.
Very much looking forward to it. I'm understanding that we're going to be SAG-Wagon 2, so SAG-Wagon 2 will be there for you.
SAG 2, you've got to come up with some sort of fun. I'm sure you will. I mean,
I feel like SAG 2 will be there for you is probably it. Yeah. So thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I can't wait to work with you in July.
And for now, we're going to go eat, and we will be back tomorrow. Well, listeners, that's it for today. We both want to thank you for tuning in to listen to this special pre-ride edition of the award-winning JustGoBike Podcast.
If you'd like to contact us with a comment about the podcast, or maybe you have a topic in mind, you can reach us at justgobikepodcast@gmail.com. You can also follow us on social media at JustGoBike on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram.
Please rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast, especially if you're a fan.
Okay, that's a wrap. We'll be back soon. Until then,
Just go bike!